Hello, my name is Madeline and welcome to my channel, Cozy Cottage Chapters, and welcome to my March TBR. I'm very excited to put together this TBR and share it with you because there are lots of things happening in the month of March. And so I really got to kind of curate my reading and choose some very specific books and things that I'm really excited to pick up this month. First, I just wanted to say this video is a little late coming out. I wanted to have this up before the start of March, but that won't be the case. I just had some nice family time last weekend and didn't get to sit down and film anything. But I'm very excited to do that now because I just love so much talking about books with you and sharing books. I feel like I've met so many kindred spirits since starting this booktube channel, and it's just been such a source of joy and happiness for me. And so just thank you for watching and all of the things. I just really appreciate getting to know you and getting to talk about books together. Anyway, that's not why you're here. You're here to know what books I am wanting to pick up in March. And so without further ado, let's just get right into it. First up in March, we have the start of Advent. Advent starts the first Wednesday in March. And I have a couple of books that I am wanting to read throughout March and April up until Easter. And I really enjoyed listening to the Reading Revisited podcast. They talked about different Lent recommendations, both nonfiction and fiction, which was really interesting. And so I got inspired a little bit from them, but also just some things that I have been wanting to get to anyways. So we'll start with my spiritual reading for Lent. I chose The Power of the Cross by Raniero, Cantalamessa. I heard about this through the Reading Revisited podcast, and I kind of made a mistake. So there are two editions of this book, a newer one, which contains 40 reflections, and then an older one, which is this one, which contains 15. When I heard about it, I thought, oh, 40 reflections, this will be perfect for Lent. I'll read one a day. But I ordered it used and I didn't pay enough attention that this is the old one with 15. But anyways, I think this is going to be fine. I'm just going to read it at a slower pace and not be stressed about having to read one a day, and just taking my time with it and thinking and reflecting on it. So I think it'll work out maybe better. But anyway, this is a collection of homilies, I believe, or excerpts from homilies maybe, that Raniero Cantalamessa gave on Good Friday. He is the papal preacher, so he delivers the homilies on Good Friday and maybe other times of the year also in St. Peter's Basilica to the Pope. He's been the papal preacher since 1980. And so this contains, the 15 years from 1980 to 1995 of his homilies, all from Good Friday. So I'm really excited to read this. I think it'll be really interesting, and I heard a lot of good things about it. Like I said, it's very short. It's just a little over 100 pages, so I'll just very slowly make my way through that. Next up, I have a reread, and this was also inspired by Reading Revisited. I enjoy their podcast, and the Lent one has so many recommendations. So anyways, I want to reread Purgatorio by Dante. I read the entire Divine Comedy a couple of years ago, and I feel like I maybe had a harder time grasping Purgatorio and Paradiso. And so several weeks or months ago, I had the idea to reread Paradiso during the Easter season. And then I heard about the ladies on the podcast talking about reading Purgatorio during Lent. And I thought, maybe I should do that also. And so they inspired me to pick up and reread Purgatorio. Well, I don't know how many cantos are in this. 33. So it's not quite one a day, but I will, try to pick this up most days during Lent. And I just want to read this really slowly and kind of study it more, pay closer attention to the details. This is the Alan Mandelbaum translation. I don't think this is probably the best translation out there, But what I really like about it is that it has the Italian on one side and then the English translation on the other side. And so you get to see, especially in the notes in the back, where they talk about the significance of like certain Italian words and what Dante is doing, and kind of, you know, some of the things that get lost in translation in the English. So I really enjoy that. I don't speak Italian, but I like being able to kind of go back and read the notes and see kind of how Dante is playing with language and, you know, the genius behind it, because you don't get all of that in the translation. So anyways, yes, I plan on rereading Purgatorio and preparing myself for Easter, where I will be reading Paradiso. And finally, I have a biblical historical fiction novel that I want to read, and that is The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas. The story kind of focuses on the Roman soldier who, I believe, gambled and, you know, cast lots and won Christ's garments. The story of what happens kind of after the crucifixion, and the story of this Roman soldier, his conversion, I believe. And yeah, they talked about this in Reading Revisited, and I am excited to kind of branch out. I don't read much historical fiction or biblical historical fiction, so I'm excited to give this a try. I think it'll be something different and quite enjoyable, hopefully. That is it for my Lent reading plans. The other readathon that I'm planning on participating in March is Middle Grade March, of course. Everyone knows Middle Grade March. And I'm so excited. I love middle grade books so much. I've been saving all of my middle grade books for now. I haven't read very much this year so far. So I am so excited to just dive in, and I really hope to read quite a lot. So we'll start with my physical books, and then I'll go to my ebooks and audiobooks and things like that. But first up, I have The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. I never read this as a kid, and I heard Emma from Bookish Princess talking about this in her Best Books of 2024 video, and I thought, I should pick this up for Middle Grade March. It's not like my favorite cover. I definitely prefer the older version, but it's what I have on my shelves, so I want to give it a try. This will also count for Hell's Read Your Bookshelf challenge. The prompt is time, and of course there's like the clock image. I don't really know what the association, because I don't know anything about this book, but like, you know, the famous image of the Phantom Tollbooth with the clock. So I think this will work for that prompt. Back of this says, when Milo receives a mysterious and intriguing package through the post, all his previous feelings of boredom are banished. Having nothing better to do, he points his pedal car towards the strange land beyond the toll booth, and quicker than a flash, he's entered the kingdom of wisdom where everything is unexpected. All right, this will also count for the Middle Grade March travel prompt. I'm not really paying attention to the prompts, but I do remember that there is one about travel, and it mentions that he has a pedal car, so there you go. Next up, I have Emily of New Moon by Ella Montgomery. I want to start this trilogy during March. We'll see how far I advance in it, but I do have all 3 books, so if I just really get into it, I could read all 3 in 1 month. But the back of this says, when Emily's father dies, she is left in the care of her mother's family. She is a stranger to them, though, and they don't want responsibility for the heartbroken, headstrong girl. It is eventually decided that Emily should be sent to live at New Moon Farm with stern Aunt Elizabeth, head of the Murray clan, and kind Aunt Laura and eccentric cousin Jimmy. Emily is enchanted by New Moon, but cannot believe she will ever belong there. Before long, though, she has made firm friends. Ilse, a tomboy with a blazing temper, Teddy, an aspiring artist, and Perry, the ambitious houseboy. Emily brings so much life to New Moon that even Aunt Elizabeth might one day wonder how they ever lived without her. I'm really excited. I love the Anne of Green Gables series, and I just really want to read more Ella Montgomery, so this will be fun. The book was on my fall TBR, and I just ran out of time. I wasn't able to get to it, and so this is a high priority for March, and that is the Betsy-Tacy series. I want to continue on with Betsy-Tacy and Tib, and possibly read the other 2 books in here. Betsy and Tacy Go Over the Big Hill and Betsy and Tacy Go Downtown. The font is like really, really big, so, you know, it seems like a big book, but I think it'll go really, really fast. And anyway, this is just a charming story of some young girls who are living in a little town in Minnesota in the turn of the century, and it's about their friendship It's about them growing up. We start off, they're 5, I think, in the first book. And by the end of the series, they are grown adults. I guess I don't know if all of the first books are really children's books, but I think at some point we get to be more middle grade-ish. And so I'm gonna count this anyway, even though it's maybe not technically middle grade, maybe it's more children's. Then finally, another book that has been on many, many TBRs, and this is the first book I'm going to read in March. I'm going to make myself sit down and read it, and I know I'm gonna love it. So it's not like I'm forcing myself to do it. I need to get around to it. And that is Dancing Peel by Lorna Hill. This is set in Scotland. We follow an aspiring ballerina. They are living in a castle, I believe, or a fortress. And I'm just so excited to read this. It's, again, a series, and I know I'm gonna love this so much. My ballet-loving heart is going to adore this. All right, then for my ebooks. So I have a couple of things borrowed already from the library, and the first is Across So Many Seas by Ruth Behar. This won a Newbery Honor, I believe this past year or the year before. It's a multi-generational story. Our timelines are 1492 during the Spanish Inquisition, 1923 after the Turkish War of Independence, and 1961 in Cuba. And 2003 also. But anyways, I'm really excited. This sounds really interesting. I love Cuba and Cuban history. I just find it so fascinating. So I'm really excited to pick that one up. I have All of a Kind Family by Sydney Taylor. This is another one that has been on my radar for quite some time that I want to get to. This is a classic children's book with a big family. They live in New York City. I believe they're Jewish, so there's a lot about their Jewish culture and faith and things like that. And I think this is going to have kind of the Vanderbeekers of 141st Street vibes, but in a classic. Then I have Penny from Heaven by Jennifer Holm. This is another Newbery Honor book. Just after World War II, and we follow Penny and her cousin Frankie, who have big plans to eat lots of butter pecan ice cream, swim at the local pool, and cheer on their favorite baseball team, the Brooklyn Dodgers. But sometimes things don't go according to plan. Penny's mom doesn't want her to swim because she's afraid Penny will get polio. Frankie is constantly getting into trouble, and Penny feels caught between the two sides of her family. But even if the summer doesn't exactly start as planned, things can work out in the most unexpected ways. I love middle grade historical fiction, so I have high hopes for this one. A book that is super popular and I just never got around to reading, but I'm hoping I can prioritize this March, is Inside Out and Back Again. This won another Newbery Honor. We have lots of Newbery Honor books. This is by Thanhha Lee. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But this is told in verse, inspired by the author's real life, I believe, and our main character is a refugee from Vietnam. It's set during the Vietnam War. This is just really a powerful, beautiful, moving story, and I haven't read many novels in verse, so I am excited to give this a try and see what I think about it. I'm sure it'll be a really quick read too, being in verse. It'll just, fly by. And finally, I have Sweep by Jonathan Auxier. The subtitle of this is The Story of a Girl and Her Monster. This is set in Victorian England, and we follow a chimney sweep who one day has an accident and wakes up and sees this monster taking care of her. And I believe it's their friendship story, and I'm just really excited. Victorian England and middle grade, it sounds like a fabulous combination to me, and I'm sure I'm going to love this a lot. I think that is it for my TBR pile of possibilities. This feels like a lot of books, but it's also middle grade, so I know I'm going to work through them faster than I would adult novels, and some of them I'm not even going to finish in March because they're Lent books, so they can carry over into April, no problem. So anyways, like I said, I'm super excited for middle grade March. I hope you have an excellent reading month. Let me know below what you are excited to read this month. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.